Good morning, everybody. So we are back again today with a super fun deck profile. The deck I have for you today is going to be Diaboromon. So we all know that the promo Diaboromon is like fluctuating in between $70 to $100, you know, depending on the week, depending on the time that you're watching this video. It could be at any given price. So in lieu of that, I don't want to play that card. It is a good card. It's probably the second best Diaboromon we have in the game printed right now. But I'll go ahead and get into the deck profile. This is going to be Diaboromon, and it's going to be very cheap. I think most of this deck is, you know, nickels and dimes. And there's only one card that's kind of expensive, and it's not even the most important card of the deck, and it's plummeting in value. So we'll go ahead and get right into it. The level 2s that I'm electing to play are going to be 4 of this Sumimon, the one from BT2 that gives you plus 2k if you have something with the same name in play. And I'm playing 1 of the new Sumimon from BT5 that says, if it's unidentified when you attack, draw a card. So card draw is nice. However, getting your Diaboromon up to 13k is more important. It lets you swing over things and then use your tokens to kind of control the board or apply pressure. So I do think this is more important. It helps you deal with more immediate threats, and the deck already kind of draws enough as it is through cards like Caramon and what have you. But on and on, the eggs are solid. You could do a full house split, like play 3 of the BT2 one and 2 of this one if you wanted a little bit extra draw. That is entirely up to you. Something you could mess around with. Onto the rookies, we have 4 of the Caramon that lets you draw cards, because it's really good. We have 4 of the Caramon that lets you search cards from the top 5. This is potentially a plus 2. It looks at the top 5, grabs a Tamer, or specifically Errata, and an unidentified Digimon, which is a lot of the Digimon that we are playing in this deck. So this card usually hits. I don't think I've ever not resolved this card, unlike, you know, the Tentomon from the starter deck. This is more along the lines of the Ragnalordmon pieces with their consistency. I'm playing 2 copies of Chumon because Chumon still blows certain decks out, and it's just a very good card. I have 1 Gatsumon for just an extra blocker, and then 2 of the 2-drop Vanillas, so that we have something cheap to play if we need to. So, those are my rookies. It's a little bit of a lower count than some of the other decks, but this deck makes do because it really plays in the raising area a lot. And typically whenever you're spending memory, you're doing it on like options and stuff, which is pretty nice. On to the level 4s, we have 4 copies of the new Kurisarimon. Getting this card as early as possible is important so that you can flash your Tamer in for free. However, it's not as important after that. But you do need to see this card as early as possible, and you do need to see your Tamer as early as possible. Once you get those established, you're pretty much set to go. So this is very important. Plus, late game, it does give all of your Diaboromon tokens Rush, which is pretty nice. Can let you close out games very swiftly, unless you're playing against like Hexablow or something. But we have 4 copies of the Kurisarimon that gives you memory. This card plus the Infamon from BT2 with the new Diaboromon lets you like Digivolve for 1 essentially, which is very nice. Gets you a token from Diaboromon, and then you can tap Errata and get another token. So then you're sitting at 3 bodies for 1 memory because you have this card in your sources. That's nuts. And if like these 2 together, make sure that whenever you're evolving, you get something really good out of it. I like these Kurisarimon, and they're very important to the flow of the deck. The other level 4s we are playing, we have 3 copies of Shademon. So this card is new in BT5. It's a security Digimon, and it has blocker, which is pretty nice. So you can trigger it in security and then block something that same turn, which is... it can save you the game. But it is also an unidentified Digimon. So these 11 right here just will let you get the +1 memory off of Errata, which makes it more likely that you get your high-value plays off. So, plus having good security is always good. This deck kind of relies on its security as a form of defense. It relies on a couple of blockers, because it's you have to make room for all of these, so it doesn't have as many blockers as typical black does. But we do have 4 in our level 4 lineup. I am playing 1 copy of Mechanorimon. This card, you will never evolve. You will never evolve this on top of a rookie. You just won't. You're going to play this card for 4. But since you are playing a slightly lower rookie count, this card essentially functions as a card that you also want to hard play, which is very important in a deck like this. I'm also playing a couple level 5s that are cheap to hard play, in case you do brick, but most of the time you won't, and you'll just get your big power plays off, but it's a card game. There are always that times it's going to happen, and it's important to minimize that in your own deck building. So, the card I was referring to is the new Warumanzemon. I might play 3 copies of this card whenever the set officially comes out, and I can get my hands on a 3rd one. But, this is the only level 5 we are playing that is not unidentified. It's just cheap. It's good to hard play. It's good to evolve into. Just a good card. I'm playing 4 copies of BT2 Infamon, so this card makes it so that your Diaboromon is 1, cheaper to evolve into, which is nuts. You can make the Diaboromon that you are, or the main Diaboromon that you're playing, a 2 cost, and if you have the Kurosari, like I said, it becomes a 1 cost, so this card is good value. And then I have 2 copies of the new Infamon. This card isn't as important. It does give you a token whenever it's deleted as an inheritable, and you can warp this on top of a Caramon. So it is nice, but again, the BT2 Infamon is much better. But hey, more support is more support, am I right? So those are our level 5 lineups. On to the level 6s. I'm playing 4 of the best Diaboromon. This is the one from BT5 that when you Digivolve, you get to play a token for free. And the token is kind of nice. You just get free bodies. You get advantage off of your tokens. This is a deck that really wants to keep Diaboromon in play, and the tokens are a means to an end to do that. Plus, you can give them all Rush with the Kurosarimon. You get to draw a card off of the Caramon whenever you play one, and this is just a great card. I would play, instead of playing, like, if I was allowed to, instead of playing extra Diaboromon, I'd just play extra copies of this card, because this card is just that good compared to the other Diaboromons that are in the game. The promo Diaboromon is a close second, but the BT2 Diaboromon isn't bad. Some people will try to tell you that it is. It's not, like, great, but it isn't bad. And against certain matchups, the ability to play extra tokens is nice, and the ability to have something that just can't die unless they deal with all of the tokens is nice. So it does come up against specific matchups, and when I get some more testing with this deck, then I will let you know in detail what those matchups are. But for right now, it's just a 5th body. I do like it. It does play more tokens, and again, having a Diaboromon in play is very important, especially for the cards coming up. I am playing 2 copies of Armageddonmon. This is the slightly expensive card that I was telling you about. You don't necessarily need to play this card. However, it is very nice. If you have a token in play, you can just pop it and play this card for 3. It has Rush, and it stops level 7s from triggering their effects. But the main thing is it is a 15k with Rush, so you can get your swings off into security, pop a body, and then go into this, and then swing over the big stack that you haven't hit yet. So I really like this card. I wouldn't play more than 2 in this deck. You could cut it to 1, you could not play it at all, but it does give you a lot more power. But if you're going to cut power for consistency, like if you want to up the level 3 count, or if you want to add one more option, or I guess another level 6, this would be the first card to cut. But it is very powerful, and I highly suggest you test it, because it will save you some games. For the Tamers, we play 4 errata. Enough said. This card is just amazing. So you get a token if you evolve into a Diaboromon, and if you have a Digimon with unidentified in play at the start of your turn, you gain a memory. So that does stack. It is not a memory setter by itself, but it will usually make sure that you start with at least 2 as long as you can keep a body on board. Raising area does not count. But yeah, it's a great card. You can't play any less than 4 of it because you need to see it as early as possible. For those of you considering playing 3, don't. On to the options. I play 3 copies of Catastrophe Cannon. When you evolve into Diaboromon and you swing at their security, this is the card that I like ending my turn on. Because you can get rid of a threat. Well, sort of get rid of a threat. You basically make sure that they have to spend the memory that you're giving them evolving that threat or their small body back up again. And you get a token out of it, which just adds to your aggression for the following turn. It can lead to Armageddonmon plays, or, it can just let you gain memory or draw cards. It's a great... This is an amazing card. I absolutely love it. And it's just very pivotal in a lot of matchups. Just being able to de-digivolve the threat is how you deal with specific matchups like Lord Nightmon. Digiburst Green, if you can catch them not digibursting away all of their sources or keeping like a level 2. It can be really good against Shoutmon decks because you can get them stuck on a card that they don't want to be stuck on. Like, if they put Metal Greymon in their security and then, like, evolved again or something, then then you can, like, de-digivolve them down and do an awkward stack. Like you kind of see on the internet floating around sometimes, like the Agumon with, like, 14 sources. That's how it happens, is cards like this. But this is an amazing card to, like, swing momentum back into your favor. And playing a high number of options that can trigger insecurity, again, is key. So with these, with the Errata, with the Shademon, you're playing 7, 10, 13 cards that trigger insecurity, plus the 2 Armageddonmons that are like 15k, so I really like it. Ultimate Flare is a card that I would very much consider bumping up to 4. If you are playing in a match or in a tournament that you expect to see a lot of Lord Nightmon, bump this card up to 4, because this card will blow Lord Nightmon out. They have to keep playing Nightmon and Lord Nightmon at, like, back to back in order for this card to stop being good against them, and they're not going to be able to do that. If they hit this in security, it's game over. That's just it. So this card otherwise has a terrible matchup against Lord Nightmon. This card is the saving grace. But if you're expecting to play in a tournament where you're going to see a lot of Lord Nightmon, bump this card up to 4. Because seeing this insecurity will just win you the game. But against other decks, it's not as consistent. It can, if they are a deck that focuses on digivolving up a big stack, this will just nuke that stack. And then any other level 3 that they have in play. So it's good against, like, Imperial and stuff. Yeah. That's about it. If I was going to bump any card up, first it would be Ultimate Flare. Then I would consider going up either a level 3 or a level 5 or 6. But, yeah, don't cut your errata. You gotta play 4. And the promos aren't absolutely necessary. If you're gonna pick up any promo first, I think the most necessary one is the level 4 Kurisarimon. That card is actually really good. It's a 4 cost to play normally, which can let you get away with playing a low number of rookies. And, it's just another blocker, which this deck would be slightly better on defense if it had a couple more blockers outside from the 5 that we're playing in the main deck. But other decks that you can consider is you could consider playing Final Zubicon Punch, because this card will be a 13k. That's hilarious. And that's something I do want to mess around with, but I just honestly couldn't find room in this deck unless I wanted to cut the Armageddonmons, and I wasn't prepared to do that. But, yeah, those are my thoughts on the deck. Hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like, subscribe, enter the tournament. that's down in the comments below. There's going to be a tournament on the 15th. It's not on the same weekends as the regionals, so if you don't want to play in the regionals, or you couldn't sign up for the regionals, or you want another tournament to play as a practice for the regionals, sign up for the tournament. Bye, everybody.